Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. Number 20 Texas takes on number 11 Oklahoma State in a game that is huge for the Big 12 title race. Let's put this game into perspective, guys. Kansas State and TCU are facing off this Saturday. Both teams are 3-0 in conference play, but obviously one of them is going to lose. Oklahoma State and Texas both have one conference loss, so the winner of this game will stay in the Big 12 title hunt, while the loser will take their second conference loss and practically eliminate themselves from that conversation. This game is huge. The stakes are huge. It's a top 20 matchup, and we are here to break down everything you need to know and, of course, share our projected winner for this matchup in Stillwater. So again, guys, welcome back to the Gridiron Expert. We're so glad you could join us today. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. Guys, we're beating out over 80% of the national analysts have been doing so each of the last 4 years, hitting over 81% on the money line, hitting over 60% against the spread. You do not want to miss out on these picks, guys. We want you to sign up and become a part of our GE Nation. Do that today over on thegridironexpert.com. So let's take a look at this, guys. A big, fierce Big 12 rivalry, the Longhorns and the Cowboys. And guys, Oklahoma State, when you look at the history, has done pretty well in this series. The Cowboys have won 5 of the last 7 meetings against Texas. But an odd stat here, Oklahoma State has lost 3 of the last 5 games at home to the Longhorns. So the stakes are once again high. You question how Oklahoma State will bounce back from that heartbreaking loss to TCU. Stakes are high. Numbers are weird. History's weird. These games typically are close, and odd as they are, what's going to happen here on Saturday? Well, let's take a look at the offense first, and we'll start with Texas. And you got to say, the offense, everything just seems to click when Quinn Ewers is in the game, right? You know, Texas wasn't horrible when he got hurt after, midway through the Alabama game, but imagine if he had been healthy. Would they have beaten Alabama? Would they have beaten Texas Tech? You can't help but wonder where Texas would be right now if he had never gotten hurt. But when he's healthy, let me tell you, this Texas team is tough to stop. We saw that 2 weeks ago against Oklahoma. Saw that last week against Iowa State. Narrow victory there, but they look pretty good. The Longhorns guys are averaging 36.7 points per game and averaging over 250 passing yards per game. Ewers has 820 yards and 9 touchdowns on the year. Those stats could be so much better, obviously, had he never gotten hurt to begin with. He's also completing over 67% of his passes, guys. So talk about a freshman quarterback coming in here, first year of college ball, and lighting up these defenses and doing it in a very accurate way. But outside of Quinn Ewers, he's the guy that everybody loves to talk about. You got to remember that coming into the season, we knew that Texas had one of the best trios of players in the country offensively. It started with Quinn Ewers, but then you got Bijan Robinson, a guy who's rushed for 780 yards and 10 touchdowns this year, one of the best running backs in the country. You also have a guy like Xavier Worthy, 432 yards and 6 touchdowns, one of the best wide receivers in the game right now. Those 3 players make up one of the best trios in the game right now. And when all the things that seem to be clicking for Texas, they're about dang near unstoppable offensively. Hopefully they will all remain to stay healthy. Hopefully they're going to be in for a big game on Saturday. When you take a look at Oklahoma State, guys, offensively, they're still pretty dang good, and they can match Texas step for step. To me, there's no doubt about that. The Cowboys, 45.3 points per game so far this year, led, of course, by Spencer Sanders, their quarterback, who has seen, much improvement this year. A guy who was kind of a turnover machine for the majority of his time in Stillwater has improved drastically, throwing for over 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns to just 3 interceptions to go along with over 300 rushing yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. So 21 total touchdowns, just 3 interceptions. Give credit just for Spencer Sanders, for a guy just putting the team on his back and trying to make do with what he has after Oklahoma State lost so much talent on both sides of the ball from last year's season. But you look at the Cowboys a little bit deeper, guys. I mean, they're still putting up numbers despite the losses. Nearly 300 passing yards per game, over 150 rushing yards per game. Ultimately, this is a team that wants to throw the football. They have a decent run game, but they want to air it out with Spencer Sanders. Why wouldn't you when you have one of the best quarterbacks in the conference? And they've got guys like Braden Johnson, They got guys like Brennan Presley, their top 2 wide receivers, to go along with 3 other receivers that have at least 200 reception yards. So Sanders has done a phenomenal job of spreading the football, spreading the love, spreading the wealth, and getting everybody involved with this Oklahoma State wide receiver core. When you take a look at the defense, guys, how does Texas respond to that? How does Texas find a way to shut down Spencer Sanders, shut down the Oklahoma State offense, especially on their home turf? Well, I'll give credit to Pete Kwiatkowski, guys, the defensive coordinator for the Longhorns. He was under a lot of scrutiny coming into this season after such a bad year 1 in Austin. It was bad year 1 all the way around, not just the defense. And they have answered the call, right? They have looked really solid for the majority of this year, giving up just 18.3 points per game. The most points they allowed all year was 37 to Texas Tech. Yes, we know Texas lost that, but that's the most they've allowed. Most they've allowed, just 37. They're allowing just 228.7 passing yards per game, just 118.7 rushing yards per game. The one thing that I kind of have concern with for Texas is their inability to pressure the quarterback and their inability to force turnovers. The Longhorns just have 15 sacks on the year, have forced just 6 turnovers. And for the most part of this year, while the numbers do speak for themselves, Texas has been more of a bend but don't break type of defense. They allow a couple big plays here and there. They allow their teams to get into the red zone, and they bend, but rarely do they completely just break. Rarely do they allow, teams to have too many big plays. Rarely do they allow too many teams to convert once they get inside the red zone. They bend and they get close, but then the defense tightens up, and typically the Longhorns do relatively well when it comes to that. When you look at Oklahoma State, when you look at the Cowboys, this is a team that is priding themselves right now on their pass rush. One of the best pass rushes in the country, 17 sacks so far on the year. Texas, though, their offensive line, a concern coming into the year, has looked relatively solid, only allowing 9 sacks so far this year. And in addition to that, factor in that Quinn Ewers does such a good job of getting the ball out quickly that the Cowboys may not have any opportunities to get pressure on the quarterback. The problem with Oklahoma State, guys, the problem with Oklahoma State, and I think we all know it, is their passing defense. That is what is holding them back. The Cowboys rank 126 in the nation versus the pass, giving up 301 passing yards per game. They have to fix that if they want to take that next step to win the Big 12, to maybe make the playoff, to even just beat Texas on Saturday. They have to continue to improve in the secondary. If they do not get after the quarterback, they don't rattle Quinn Ewers, they don't get after him early, they don't force a couple key turnovers here, they could be in for a long day. We just mentioned how Texas has one of the best trios of offensive playmakers in the country. No doubt about it. And if you allow Quinn Ewers to get hot and they don't find a way to stop Bijan Robinson, keep in mind TCU rushed for over 200 yards on the Cowboys last week. Again, it could be a long day in Stillwater. And so what is going to happen? Will it be a long day? Will it be a short day? Will the Cowboys survive and get a victory, or will Texas skyrocket in the rankings and keep themselves in contention for a Big 12 title in just year 2 under Steve Sarkisian? The ultimate storyline I'm looking at here, guys, is how does Oklahoma State bounce back? How do the Cowboys bounce back? In a game last week against TCU where they were up by 17 points at one point, they didn't even trail until the first overtime. So they led the entire game all the way until that first overtime, and then obviously they trailed, tied it up, went to the second overtime, took the lead back, and then TCU scored the touchdown in the bottom of the second overtime to win the game. How do you bounce back from that? Do you rally your troops and say everything we want, including a playoff berth, is still ahead of us, or are they still hungover and Texas is going to come in here and pop you in the mouth and it's game over? What happens? And I'm going to tell you right now that I personally believe that Mike Gundy is too good of a coach to allow that to happen. I am picking Oklahoma State to win this game in Stillwater. If Oklahoma State can contain Bijan Robinson, last week, Max Duggan had a pretty good game, 286 passing yards. Not the most ideal numbers, but they didn't necessarily torch Oklahoma State. And Oklahoma State's defense was holding their own for the majority of that game until really the second half collapse. If they can contain Bijan Robinson and force Quinn Ewers to win this game solely through the air, I believe that Oklahoma State's defense can come up with just enough plays to win this game. Because again, guys, the Cowboys can match the Longhorns step for step offensively. And I have no doubt about that. Spencer Sanders can match them step for step offensively. I think Mike Gundy is too good of a coach to allow his team to be down on themselves, to lose their momentum, and to lose their mindset. I think Oklahoma State bounces back with a close victory over Texas. We've seen some wild finishes between these two. Get ready for another one on Saturday, but give me the Cowboys to keep their Big 12 title hopes and potentially their playoff hopes alive with a close home victory over the Longhorns. So So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Of course, check out everything down in the description below, including our expert picks over on our website, thegridironexpert.com. Some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country, and we want you to take advantage of those, become a part of our team, and sign up for those today. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.